Hey everybody. Talking about the next stage of really planning so that we know what we're working on when we have time to work, how we're going to divide up all the different tasks that need to get done to make this product in the next 8 weeks. And so last time we talked about the product overview board, we talked about, kind of general roadmap, and then taking those roadmap items, breaking them into maybe 1 or 2 week jobs that need to be done, and those go onto our product overview board. So now we need to take those 1 or 2 week jobs and break them down into simple, 1 hour jobs that people can actually work on. And we need a way to organize this as far as who's going to be doing what and how we're going to work together. And so to do that, we're going to be using sprint boards and really sprint techniques. These are kind of developed by software engineers in the late 90s to try to increase the speed of how fast they could get products made and released. And so we're going to take this, we're going to utilize this technique to try to create a really impactful product in a really short amount of time. So to do that, we're going to start with I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what I'm looking at. Like I said last time, we started with this roadmap. These are just some general things that need to get done. We took these and we kind of put them onto our product overview board. Jobs that maybe could take a week in order to get done. And so these will be sitting on the product overview board, and then we need to have an all-hands meeting where we talk about who's going to be doing what, how are we going to divide these up. And what we really need is some folks to take some leadership in what they're passionate about and what they feel like they're best suited to do, to lead small groups of people through completing one of these jobs. So maybe there's something in job 2 that really speaks to me. Maybe there's something that I'm good at. I feel like I want to step up as a leader and help organize to get job 2 done, work with some other people. So I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to say like, hey, I really think I can do job 2. And so in this all hands meeting, what will happen is that this job 2 will get cut. It'll get put onto the next side, which is working. And we've got 4 groups this year, so maybe I'm part of group 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take job 2, we're going to put it with me on group 3. And what that means is I am now the sprint lead for my group. I'm going to help just to make sure that everything stays organized, people know what they're doing. I'm going to be taking a leadership role over the next 2 weeks to make sure that this job or any other jobs that we designate for group 3 get done. So what we're doing is we're setting up a 2-week sprint and basically telling everyone in our entire group what we're going to be working on for the next 2 weeks, and specifically what products we're going to be delivering at the end of those 2 weeks. And so these will all get divided up. Hopefully somebody else takes job 1, somebody else takes job 3. There's probably going to be more than just 3 jobs here. We're going to divide up, make sure that the most important stuff gets started to be worked on by these different groups. And so the next step is really a sprint plan where I'm going to be meeting with just the other people in group 3, and we're going to be talking about this job 2 and how we're going to break this week-long job into very specific, maybe hour-long jobs that need to get done, and then dividing those up between the different people in the group. And so to do that, it's a very similar process to the product overview board, but we call it something different. We call it a sprint board. And so what I've done is in your shared drive, there is this sprint board template. So when you meet as a small group, of 5 or 6 people, you are going to create a new sprint board. So just go ahead and double click on this, or I guess right click on it. And you can go to make a copy. And this will create a copy of this board. And then I'm going to open up this sprint board and I'm going to start working on it with my group. I'm going to give it a new name. So maybe this is going to be group 1 or group 2. That's what we were. We're group 2 sprint board. I've got a name. I might want to just put the job that I need to do, which is, job 2, whatever that might be. I just want to put that up at the top. So I'm reminding myself always, like, what's the major thing that we're trying to get done over the next 2 weeks? And then I'm going to work with my group on a sprint plan. And really the first stage of doing that sprint plan, I'm going to go back to my screen. Really the first stage of that sprint plan is to draw out the product that you're going to be delivering. So if we complete job 2, what product are we going to be making? What are we going to be kind of, I guess, showing back to our entire group? What's going to be the major thing? And so to do that, as always, I've got my lab notebook. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to maybe even set a new page for this. Make sure I put my date at the top. It's June 7th today. And I'm going to call this sprint plan. And so what I'm going to do during my sprint plan is I'm going to work with my group to draw a picture of what we're going to be making over these next 2 weeks in order to complete our assigned job. So if it's one thing that we need to make, maybe it's a presentation about some aspect of what we're building. I could put that here. I can also say we're making a machine that turns cups on its side. I don't know what this machine does. It turns cups on its side. What I can do is I can actually divide this up. Instead of drawing one picture, I might want to divide this up, and I might want to draw several pictures that show what this machine is going to do. So maybe in picture 1, the machine grabs the cup. So I've got my machine, it's grabbing a cup. And so I really just start drawing stuff out. You do not have to be good at drawing to make a sprint plan. We just want to start thinking visually, and we want to share this back and forth between the different members of our group so we're all on the same page about what exactly we are going to be building. All right. The next thing I'm going to do, as I'm drawing this, I'm also going to be wanting to label the parts. So maybe here's my machine, and here's the cup. So I've got my parts labeled, and then the next thing, maybe I will show it picking that cup up. Cup, machine. So I'm actually kind of making a cartoon of what I'm going to be building. So this is one way to do it. So there's no real specific requirements for what your sprint plan should look like. The only thing I would like it to be is I would like it to be visual. If you want to create a few sentences or a paragraph describing what you're going to be building, that's also fine. But we just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about what exactly us as a sprint group is going to be making. All right. All of this stuff is really to try to help us figure out what are the actions, what are the specific tasks that we need to complete over the next 2 weeks in order to make this thing or deliver this product or complete this job. And so then after I get my sprint plan all done, I'm going to talk with my group, and I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I'm going to go back to my sprint board, and we're just going to start actually listing out what are all the different tasks that need to be done in order for us to complete this job or to make this product. And these tasks should be pretty short. Assume that one person could get this task done in 1 hour. That's how specific I want these tasks to be. If it's, say, something like, if I wrote a task like make a machine to pick up cups, right? Like that's like way too complicated. That's way too general. Like there's no way anyone's going to be able to get this done in an hour. So I need to, this might be my main job. Maybe this is my job, is to make a machine to pick up cups. Okay, that's what I need to hopefully do over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to break this into specific tasks. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm probably going to need to make a final design for the machine. That might be one part that I need to do. I might need to Make a list of parts for the machine. It's another thing that I need to do. I might need to assemble the machine base. I also might need to assemble the machine hand. So as you can see, I'm just listing out all the different tasks that need to get done. And just like we did in our product overview board, we're going to kind of put these as the most important towards the top, and the least important, or maybe stuff that just needs to be done later on, is going to be down towards the bottom. And so this is going to give us an overview of what we're going to be working on. And then if I'm the sprint lead, it's really my job to make sure that everyone is comfortable and invited to contribute to this waiting list so that we can get a full comprehensive list down. And then that we're able to divide this up into different tasks for different people. And so maybe somebody in my group volunteers to finalize a design for the machine. And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut it. So Control X is cut. And I'm going to move this from the waiting over into the working. And I'm going to give this to a specific person. So maybe I'll change the color here. Maybe this is Dave. I don't know who volunteered for this. Maybe Dave volunteered. And so I'm going to put Dave, I'm going to assign him. He's going to be working on the final design for the machine. And where I'm going to continue to do this so that everyone has at least one task that they're working on. And so this is going to take a lot of discussion. It's going to take a lot of cooperation. This is definitely not an easy thing. It's also sometimes really hard to go from this stage where you've got a major thing that you want to get done in 2 weeks and to think about what are all of the individual tasks that we need to do. And so you can definitely talk with your teachers about this to figure out like what are all the tasks that we need to do, talk with each other, and just get started. You might get started, Dave might get started making a final design for the machine, and as he's doing that, that might change, or he might get some ideas for what else we need to do. And so anyone can add items to this waiting list. Anyone can delete items from this waiting list. This waiting list is dynamic. It can change as you are working. And so don't be afraid to, like I said, continue to add stuff to this, to move stuff around. And then once Dave gets done making a final design of his machine, he's going to cut this, Control X, and he's going to move this into the done pile. And we're just going to transition items from this waiting list. They're going to get put into the working, assigned to a person. Then once that person gets done with them, they're going to move to the done. So hopefully over the course of 2 weeks, we're going to take a bunch of small items. We're going to divide them up to work on them, and we're going to complete them. And then at the end of those 2 weeks, we should have this thing, this job done so that we can share it with the other people in our group. I know that this is kind of complicated. It's a little bit weird, but it's really a way for us to take a really complicated project that we have to do and figure out how to divide it up so that the work can get done as fast as possible so that we can continue pressing forward, we can continue making things and just seeing how well they work. Definitely don't be scared or ashamed if you're confused, if you don't know what to do. That's what your teachers are there for. That's what I'm here for. We can definitely chat about this, try to figure out, especially the first few times you go through sprint planning, it's kind of weird and it's kind of awkward. But after you do it a few times, you kind of get used to it. You kind of understand like, okay, this is kind of what I need to do. This is how I'm going to divide them up. And your brain starts to think through that stuff. So stick with it. Problems are going to happen. Problems are going to occur. Don't worry about those. Just keep going through, keep plugging away. And by the end of this, we should have something great that, hopefully is going to have a big positive impact on the people around us.